Namaskar. Welcome to this session on Bhagavad Geeta Overview for Adhyayas 15, 16 and 17. We start with a prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So 15th Adhyaya is called the Purushottama Yoga. So far in the last three Adhyayas, the 12th Adhyaya was the Bhakti Yoga, how we can devote to the Almighty, what are the different ways, Saguna Bhakti, Nirguna Bhakti, and what does the Lord expect from a devotee, who is the highest Bhakta, the Gnani Bhakta. 13th Adhyaya, Bhagavan described the Paramatma Tatva, the Kshetra, Kshetragna Vibhaga, who is the knower, what is the Kshetra, who is the Kshetragna. Bhagavan says, Kshetragam Chapi Mam Vidhi, I am the knower of all, everything, I am the Brahma Svarupa. And in the 14th Adhyaya, it was the Trigunya Vishaya, means the Rajas, Tamas and the Sattva. Bhagavan described that how we can go from Rajas to Tamas to Sattva. To attain the divine, we have to get into the Sattva, because Sattvat Sanjayate Gnanam. Only with Sattva we can understand this knowledge. Without Sattva, this knowledge cannot be understood. Antakarana Shuddhi is the first initial eligible step to attain the Atma Jnana. And now in the 15th Adhyaya, Bhagavan shows what is this divinity, the Purushottama Yoga. It is a very short Adhyaya consisting of 20 shlokas, but it is a very profound Adhyaya. And many people, most of the devotees have memorized this by heart. And it's very important to understand the meaning of this Adhyaya, because if we chant this Adhyaya with understanding, definitely it gives a very different connotation to us in our mind. There are many subjects of this Adhyaya, 15th Adhyaya. Bhagavan talks about the Sansar Vruksha, starts with the cosmic tree, talks about how we can axe this tree with Tivra Vairagya, talks about unattachment, onward journey of the Jiva, how he moves from one body to the other, describes the Jiva svarupa, describes the Ishvara svarupa, the Tatva, shows the Paramatma Tatva, the Nirgun Tatva, and the benefits of this attaining this divinity. Let us start with the first shloka. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Urdhva Mula Madha Shakam Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chandansi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavita. Bhagavan is describing the Sansar Vruksha, and in this Sansar Vruksha describes the Paramatma Tattva. He says the roots of this Vruksha are upwards, Urdhva Mula. They are the highest, the goal, the divinity is the highest goal. Though the roots normally of the tree are down, here Bhagavan says they are up, because that's the highest goal that we need to achieve. Adha Shakam, the main branches are going down. He says Ashwatham, it is like a peepal tree which keeps on going. It is Anitya, which does not remain in the future. And Prahu Avyayam, which keeps unchanging, means it is like a pravaha, just like a river keeps flowing towards a river, towards the ocean. This tree keeps on going on and on till we meet the ocean. Chandansi Yasya Paranani. The Vedas are like the leaves, because the leaves provide the shelter and Vedas provide the shelter to mankind. And the one who knows the secret of this kind of a tree, the cosmic tree, is the knower of the Vedas as well, and is a wise or person with wisdom. In the next shloka, Bhagavan describes the Sansar Vruksha again, but from the perspective of the Jiva, how the Jiva is bound to this Sansar Vruksha. He says, Adhascha Udvam, the Maya is the main, the tree, the branches are like Maya of the cosmic tree, are very widely spread out. And they are nourished well by the three gunas, the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, because Maya consists of Trigunatmika, and that's why all the Jiva also have the mixture of three gunas. And the Vishaya Pravala, the objects are like the new leaves, because they keep attracting us by our sense organs, we keep attracted towards these objects. And the Mula, the Maya, is deeply rooted down, and the desires are the main roots through which all this Ajnana and Maya works. And this, through this karma, because Ajnana, the desires, they let us into karma, and this karma binds us, because there is a free will. We can determine our destiny by our karma, and this determines our journey of life, and that is how the sansar vriksha keeps on going on and on with this karma. And it is said that human life is so invaluable, we should not waste it, we should understand it, this divinity, what Bhagavan is talking about. And the third shloka, Bhagavan says that what is the problem? What is that illusion? Why are we not able to see the reality? And he also shows the solution, how we can get over this sansar vriksha. He says this world, this sansar vriksha is not narupamasye tathopalabhyate. It is not the same as it is seen. How it is seen, we think this is a reality, but Bhagavan says this is not the reality. It's like an optical illusion that you are seeing what you are seeing. Anta na adi na sampratishta. It has no beginning, it has no end, it has no sthiti. It is all constantly moving. And he says the Maya, the roots are so strong, they are so deeply rooted, it's very difficult to destroy. Sansar vriksha ka chedan karna bahut hi mushkil hai, Bhagavan says, but he also shows the solution. Sri Krishna says that asanga shastrena dradhena chitva, with the asanga shastra, with an vairagya or unattachment. This is the main weapon. We need to use the axe to kill or destroy this sansar vriksha with all its desires, savirudha moolam, with all its moola. From its root we can destroy all this ajnana by only that atma jnana, and this is eligible only by asanga shastra. Asanga means vairagya, and this is the main shastra. Tivra vairagya is the most important eligibility for understanding this knowledge, and this real vairagya comes with the right understanding, the viveka. Not that vairagya which comes on the spur of the moment, on the spur of the emotion. I don't want to do this because I'm fed up, I'm tired. This resentment with anger, this is not the real vairagya. Guruji tells us that vairagya, real vairagya, is a very healthy state of our mind which comes with the right understanding about the world, its objects, its relationships with myself, about the divinity, about that understanding. So in spite of the objects and all the attractions being there in the world, we are not attracted to it. We have a kind of equipoise in our mind, dualities towards all the dualities, and with all the persons, all the relations, we do our best wherever we need to, but accept all the situations in life with the utmost faith in the divinity. And this kind of vairagya comes only with viveka, and it is only this kind of a tivra vairagya makes us eligible to axe this sansar vriksha and attain the divinity. And then what we need to do after destroying the sansar vriksha, Bhagavan says, tataha padam tat parimargitavyam. Then after destroying the sansar vriksha, you have to try and attain that highest Tatva, the Paramatma Tatva, the Tat Pada. Tat Pada is the highest Pada, the divinity itself, which is very sukshma. Bhagavan says, Yasmin Gatana Nivartanti Bhuyaha. Attaining where we don't have to come back to this world, that is the highest benefit of this. We are not born in this material world, and we have to surrender to this Adi Purusha, Tameva Cha Agyam Purusham Prapadye. Surrender to this first Adi Purusha, which Ishvara Sharanagati, from whom all this entire Prasuti, Purani, all this universe, Srushti, Maya, everything begins. That is the Brahma Tattva, that is the highest divinity to which we have to surrender. And who is eligible for this kind of journey for God attainment? Bhagavan shows us the Sadguna Sampatti, the Devi Sampatti. So, Nirmana Moha, one who does not have a lot of desire for respect, that people respect me, people know me, people respect me. And those who don't have the moha, those who are not deluded. Jita Sangha Dosha, those who have won over the vice of attachment, because attachment is the one that connects us to the sansara, but we have to get detached from the sansara to understand this. Adhyatma Nitya, one who is ever involved in spiritual practices. Vinivritta Kamaha, one whose desires are completely renounced, all the selfish desires are renounced. Dvandvair Vimukta is devoid of all the dualities of Sukha Dukkha Sangnai, happiness, sadness. And that kind of a white person attains the unchanging Paramatma Tattva, the highest Tattva. And then Bhagavan is now describing that eternal divinity, that Tattva, that Nirgun Tattva. Na tad bhasayate suryaha. He says even the sun cannot illuminate this Tattva, nor the moon can illuminate that divinity. Even the fire cannot illuminate that Tattva, because that Tattva is Swayam Prakasha. It is through that Tattva that everything else gets illuminated. And that's why neither the sun, moon or fire cannot illuminate it. And people, those who know this, do not have to come back on this earth. And Bhagavan says, Tadhama Paramam Mama, that is my highest abode. That is my Chaitanya Swarupa, Nirguna Swarupa. and that is what we need to understand. And then in the next shloka, Bhagavan shows the difference between the Jiva and the Ishvara. He says, Mamai Vanshaha, Mamai Vansho Jiva Loke. Mamai Vansha means the Jiva is my own part. Mama Eva Anshaha, that is my own part. And Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, he keeps changing bodies. And then at the time of death, how the Jiva carries the mind along with the senses, the Sukshma Sharir, how it does the onward gati to get another Sthula Sharira or a mortal body. That is what. So death itself is not a full stop. In our shastra, it is said that it's a journey from one Sharira to the other. That is what we need to understand. So the difference between the Jiva and the Ishvara, what is that? In Vedanta, there are several examples given to make us understand that Mama Eva Anshaha. When Bhagavan says, you are my part, what kind of a part I am of the Lord, that I need to understand. And for that, one of the commonest examples that is given is Ghatakash and Mahakash. Ghatakash means the space that is there within the pot, and Mahakasha means that eternal, entire space which is inside and outside of the pot. And both of these are essentially the same, except for the form of the pot, which is all transient. And similarly, Jiva also thinks that I am only this limited person, but in essence, Jiva is the Mahakasha, is the eternity in itself. And this is what we have to understand. Similarly, another common example is the Bindu, the drop, and the ocean. The difference between the drop and the ocean is what is the difference between the Jiva and the Ishvara. It is all water. The material, the real material is all, the essence is all the same, but the forms and the shapes are different. We see the waves, we see the froth, we see all the, the differences, the water coming, water going, everything. But the vast ocean is nothing but the water. It's all the same. The drop and the ocean, they both contain the essence is water. In the next shloka, Bhagavan describes the onward journey on death of the Jiva, what happens, and gives an example of wind. He says, Jiva leaves one body and attains another, along with the Sukshma Sharira, with the mind and the senses and all the sanskaras that have been accumulated in this life. Just like wind, Vayu Gandhar Nivashaya, means just as the wind carries the smell from one flower to the other, similarly, the Jiva also does onward journey. The next shloka, the 9th one, Bhagavan shows how the Jiva is bound to the sansar by enjoying, by doing bhoga. He says it's all because of this 5 gnanendriyas that we get all the enjoyment or pleasures of the senses. And the mana adhisthaya. Mana is the adhisthana, it is the main which gets all the information, and then the bhoga, vishaya upasevate, we do the bhoga of the sense objects, and that is how we live in this world, and we are bound to this world. And how can we be freed from this bondage of this world? Bhagavan shows that by understanding that by leaving this body or being in the steady state of this body, or by enjoying in whichever state, when we are obsessed even with the sense pleasures, we cannot see this reality, but it is only seen by the gnana chakshushaha, by the wisdom eyes, by the wise people who have the third eye which is open, that is a gnana chakshu, through which wisdom eye, through this knowledge, through this understanding, we can see how one actor is doing so many roles, how the Jiva is nothing but else but the Brahma is the same as the Ishvara. And why everyone is not able to see the truth, everyone is not eligible for understanding this divinity. Bhagavan says that even for the yogi who perseveres, does the sadhana and sees the truth inside his own self, but other people, in spite of trying, because their intellect is not pure, it is not subtle, it is not sukshma, it is not shuddha, it is not properly matured, cultivated, and that's why we are not able to understand this divinity, because we are all attached to this sansara chakra. And then Bhagavan shows the reality of this Paramatma Tatva, the ultimate divinity. He says, just as the sun arises and its light illuminates his entire world, similarly the luminance of the moon and the fire, know that all that luminance of the sun, moon and the fire is mine. It is me who, Prakash, illuminates everything. All luminescence, everything is through the Chaitanya Prakash. And we need to start seeing the truth somewhere, because we are not able to see divinity anywhere. And that's why Bhagavan shows some important divine manifestations where we can start seeing this divinity. These are called the Vibhuti Darshana. Bhagavan says, by entering the earth, I sustain all the lives, I sustain all the beings through my luminescence. And that's why Bhagavan is also called Dharani Dhara, the Prithvi also. and I nurture all the plants, and as a moon I provide the test, rasa soma bhutva rasatmaka. And that's why Bhagavan is also called Rasheshwara, because all the rasa comes from him. And then Bhagavan says, I am also sitting inside, I am not just outside, sitting inside as a divinity. I am as a aham vaishwa naro bhutva prani nam dehamashritaha. I am that fire of digestion through which residing in the body of all the beings, and along with the prana, apana, I digest all the 4 types of food, he says. And he continues his vibhutis darshana. It shows that I am everywhere. Sarvasya chaham hridivisht sannivishto. I am residing in the hearts of all, and I am the memory, the knowledge, the forgetfulness, all the bhava, abhava, everything that is known by you. I am all to be known by the Vedas. I am the one to be known. I am the one who makes everything known through the Vedanta, and I am the one who is the known the Veda Vidya. So in all forms we have to see the divinity. That is what Bhagavan is trying to say. And then he describes the universe in 2 forms. He says Kshara and Akshara. Kshara, he says, there are 2 types of Purusha. Kshara Purusha are the perishable, the destructible, all the beings who are Kshara Purusha. And then he describes one that is above this is the imperishable, the unchanging, the Maya Tatva, that is the perpetual, unchanging, that is Akshara Tatva. And then he says, beyond these 2 things, there is another 3rd type, which is the Uttama Purusha, which is the foundation of all. He says that is the highest self, Uttama Purushastu Anya. He says it is completely different from Kshara and Akshara, and this is Paramatma iti Udayuta. It's also known as Paramatma. He shows his own introduction. He says, Yolokatrayam Avishya, which pervades all the 3 lokas, everywhere it pervades, it is everywhere, and it nurtures everything. And who is the Lord? It is unchanging, it is indestructible. So this is the highest divinity, the Paramatma Tattva, also called the Chaitanya or the Brahma Tattva, which cannot be perceived by our senses, our indriyas, neither can be perceived by any of the pramana, anuman, pratyaksha pramana, and when can only be directly experienced by our own self, that is aparoksha. I know that I am existent, I am there, I am, and that is my own existence. That is the divinity that we can feel it, can experience it on our own. And that's why Bhagavan says this is the Uttama Purusha, which is beyond the Kshara and the Akshara Purusha. And it is the best and the highest because it is omnipresent, it is Sarva Vyapaka, it is Asanga, and it is the final truth that we need to understand. And then Bhagavan calls himself Purushottama. He says that this Uttama Purusha, which is different from the Kshara and which is highest than the Akshara, both in this Sansara and in this Veda, Loke Asmita, he says Prathita Purushottama. It is also known as, I am known as the Purushottama. This Uttama Purusha is only the Purushottama, as Paramatma Tattva, and all this is the same. He gives a self-introduction that who is the divinity and shows the ultimate benefits of this knowledge. He says, one who is relieved of all this delusion and knows me as this Purushottama, that person knows everything. He says he becomes Sarvavita, and he is O Arjun, one. That's why be devoted to me with your mind and intellect, because what needs to be known is this knowledge of the divinity. We have spent a lot of our time understanding the knowledge of the world, about the samsara, but we should also spend some more time in understanding the knowledge of this divinity, to see this divinity everywhere, Sarvatra, Ishvara Darshan, this oneness, everywhere, Aikya. And this is what is the grand vision of Bhagavan Shri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita and in our other scriptures. And Bhagavan then tells Arjuna that this is the Guhya Tamam Shastra. Oh Arjuna, this is the most profound secret that I have told you. And with this Buddhimana Syat Krutakrutya Bharata, only the person is indeed intelligent if he knows this secret, this divine understanding, this divine knowledge, and then he becomes Krutakrutya, becomes Purna, he becomes complete. He knows that he is complete, he is not incomplete. He doesn't seek for yearning for more and more, he becomes Paripurna, and that is the real benefit of this. So coming to the end of the Purushottama Yoga, summarizing, Bhagavan started describing the Sansara Vruksha, where Bhagavan, divinity, is the highest roota, but it is Urdhva Mula. And then he shows how with Vairagya, Asangata, we can destroy the Sansara Chakra and attain the final divinity. Eligibility, the Sadgun Sampatti, is also shown. And he describes the highest divinity, which illuminates everything, the sun, moon, and the fire. And then he shows that Jiva is my svarupa, it is my ansha, how Jiva is bound and how it can be freed from this by Gnana Chakshusha. And then he says, why everybody is not able to see this truth, because we are all attached to this world. And he shows that, he starts showing this divinity somewhere, and then shows that this divinity is everywhere from vibhutis. Finally describes Akshara and the Akshara Tatva, and shows that he is the Uttama, the Purushottama is the third Paramatma, and one who knows this Paramatma Tatva is the person who is really intelligent, Buddhiman, and he is the Krutakrutya, he is the Paripurna in his knowledge. With this, we come to the end of the 15th Adhyaya. Om Tat Satiti Srimad Bhagavad Geetasu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shree Krishna Arjuna Samvade Purushottama Yogo Nama Panchadashodhyaya. Now let us start the 16th Adhyaya. 16th Adhyaya is called the Daivi Asuri Sampatti Vibhaga Yoga. Essentially means divine and the demonical values. And life is a combination of both these. We all have both divine values as well as demonical, devilish values. Devi Sampatti are the moral values that are important for all. And this we have to think over how we can establish this. We all know which are the good values which we should have, and we should try to acquire them. They are also called the Sadgun Sampatti or Sattva Guna. They are Sattva Pradhan. The Asuri Sampatti, on the other hand, are the devilish qualities. We need to discard them, Raja and Tama Guna Pradhana. And Bhagavan describes both these in this Adhyaya. And ultimately, the peace of our mind should be the topmost priority for us. And purity and Shuddhi is required for this path, and that's why Devi Sampatti we have to acquire, and devilish or Asuri Sampatti we have to discard to become pure in our antakarana, inner mind. And it is with this eligibility we can understand this Atma Jnana that Bhagavan is talking about. And that's why it is the attaining of this Devi Sampatti and discarding this Asuri Sampatti is life-changing for us. The first three shlokas of the 16th Adhyaya Bhagavan describes 26 divine qualities, the Devi Sampatti, which are very, very well-known shlokas. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Abhayam Sattva Sanshuddhihi Jnana Yoga Vyavastitihi Tanam Damascha Yagnascha Swadhyayastapa Arjavam. Bhagavan says Abhayam. Abhayam means absence of all types of fear. It is this fear that create lots of problems for us. We have fear of old age, fear of disease, fear of death, fear of losing someone. Lots of problems we have because of fear, and that's why Bhagavan says we have to get out of this. We have to have absence of fear by the right understanding. Sattva Sanshuddhi, purity of the inner mind is very, very important. That's a Devi Sampatti to understand the Atma Jnana. Gnana Yoga Vyavasthiti, steadiness, being steady in this knowledge and in the yoga, because then only we can reach to this Dhanam, charity, to give donates also creates a lot of Shuddhi. Dhamma, control over our own Indriya Sanyam, Mana, Sanyama, Dhamma, all this is important. Yagna. Yagna essentially means a kind of a sacrifice. In the older times, in the Vedic times, we used to have a lot of yagnas being done in the day-to-day life. But nowadays, it is the actions which we do for a larger benefit. The selfless actions can be described as yagna. Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is study of the scriptures, so many scriptures, doing self-introspection. Tapa. Tapa means to willingly endure some kind of a pain. Either we do some fasting or some kind of for self-control, for improving our discipline and self-control. Arjavam is simplicity, oneness in mind, words and actions. That is Arjavam. Ahimsa. Ahimsa is non-violence to all the beings, not just to our close ones, near and dear ones. Satyam. Satyam is truth, honesty and integrity. Akrodha. Absence of anger is another Devi Sampatti. Bhagavan says Tyagaha. To give up something with understanding and Shanti, our peace of mind. Apaishunam. Absence of criticizing people all the time. Speaking of backbiting, speaking something behind their backs, we should avoid. Daya, mercy towards all the species. It is said that humans are very cruel to others. We have to have daya, we have to have compassion, mercy towards others. Aloluptvam, greed is another big problem with us. It is Asuri Sampatti, whereas absence of greed is a Devi Sampatti. Mardavam, being gentle in our actions, in our speech, in our conduct, in our behavior, in our mind. gentleness. Re is a shame in doing something wrong, in doing something unethical, illegal. Achapalam is absence of restlessness. We are all restless for achieving something, but having calmness is a Daivi Sampatti in the eyes of the Lord. Teja. Teja means a very nice, enlightened personality. Kshama, forgiveness, forbearance. Druti, our patience, our power to control our rage. And Shaucham, purity of our inner mind and outer purity. Adroha, absence of any revenge. Taking a revenge, okay, मैं दिखा दूंगा उसको, उसने मेरे को क्यों ऐसा बोला, मैं भी उसको बोल दूंगा ये. That kind of revengeful activity is Asuri Sampatti. Na ati manita, absence of craving for much respect. We all have a craving for a lot of respect. This person did not respect me, that's why I get upset. This person did not tell me good morning, that's why I get upset. Oh Arjuna, Bhagavan says, these are all the virtues of the person who are born with Devi Sampatti. In 3 shlokas, Bhagavan describes 26 Devi Sampatti, which are all very beautiful. On each Sampatti, we can talk about 1 hour. So it's very beautiful because each of them we need to imbibe in our mind. We need to understand that we must remember these qualities, and only with self-observation, awareness, we can assimilate this in our life and improve our life and make a life-changing experience. So these Devi Sampatti are very important for us to keep on, regularly understanding, reading, understanding, contemplating. So this Devi Sampatti leads to our Shuddhi of our Antakarana, and that makes us eligible for the Atma Jnana. And now from the 4th shloka, Bhagavan is describing the Asuri Sampatti. He says, Dambha. Dambha is hypocrisy. We show something that we don't have, we are not. And that is most of us want to try and exaggerate things, try and show something that is not the reality. Darpaha, arrogance, having a lot of pride, a lot of ego for ourselves, abhimana. All these are Asuri Sampatti. Krodha, in the eyes of Lord, anger is not justifiable at any cost, and that's why Krodha is a Asuri Sampatti. Parushya, harsh words inflicted to cause pain to others, some kind of sadist attitude is a Asuri Sampatti. Ajnana, ignorance. Bhagavan says that these are all the demonical values. So what is the benefit of this Daivi and Asuri Sampatti? Bhagavan describes in the next shloka. He says, Daivi Sampatti Dvimokshaya. It leads to liberation, whereas Asuri Sampatti leads to bondage. That is the main reason why we need to acquire Daivi Sampatti and let go of the Asuri Sampatti. Bhagavan tells Arjuna, don't worry, you are born with divine qualities. You don't need to worry, and that's why you are eligible for moksha. Guruji tells us that all those who listen to Gita ji are all eligible for moksha because that is a Devi Sampatti. That is what Bhagavan says. In this world, people are born with both the Devi as well as the Asuri Sampatti. Both, Bhagavan says, I've told you what are the divine qualities, and now I'm going to, in detail, I'm going to describe the Asuri Sampatti. And then it starts describing the Asuri Sampatti. Shree Krishna says, these are the people who have demonical values or Asuri Sampatti, those who don't know what is worth doing, what is not worth doing. Those who don't know what is purity, they who don't know what is good behavior, they behave in a very, disrespectful manner. They are not honest in their words. They take shelter of asatya. The satyam teshu vidyate. These are all the Asuri Sampatti. And what do they think about this world? They think that this world is filled with asatya. Everybody is dishonest. That is what they feel. They say there is apratishta. There is no support of this world. It is just moving like that. There is not anishwaram. There is nothing like God. There is nothing like divinity. And that is, they feel that this is just by some kind of a strange reaction, by some union of the sexes that this world is going on. That is their understanding. And what happens to their life by such a vision? They are people, alpa buddhaya, they have limited intellect, they don't achieve any goal in life, they are involved in violent actions, and jagato ahita, they create damage to this world. They are seeing that there is so much of climate change and all this damage because of people who don't think about others. They have endless desires. Kamam ashritya dushpuram. The desires cannot be fulfilled. They are filled with hypocrisy, false respect, and ego. And due to their delusions, they are obsessed with a lot of misconceptions, illusions, and their decisions are also not firm. They keep changing their decisions. They are not ashuchi vrata. They are not firm and clean people. They have chintam upashrita aparimeyam. creating, they are having endless desires. What will happen in the future? What will happen? What will happen? Lots of stress, tension they have all the time. We are seeing that so many people have this kind of things, and until their body comes to an end, they are all attracted towards the sense pleasures, and then they understand that this is what is need to be done in life. They can't see beyond this in their life, that life is only meant for sensual pleasures. That is what they feel. And bound by these thousands of desires, devoted to lust, anger, their actions are only for sense pleasures, and they want to accumulate wealth and other by all unethical means. They indulge in all the sense objects. These are all the asuri sampatti that Bhagavan is describing. What is their mentality and thinking? They think that today I have achieved so much. This is my balance sheet. This is my investment. Tomorrow I want to achieve something more. That is what is their goal in life. Today I have so much of wealth. Tomorrow in the future I want to have so much of wealth. They don't understand the limitation of wealth, how wealth is important, but it has a limited value. Today I have won over so many enemies. These are my competitors. Tomorrow I have to defeat so many others. I am the Almighty. I enjoy everything. I am well-to-do. I am very powerful. I come from a good family. I am so happy. All these illusions they have, because they are all involved in sense pleasures, and they think that this is the best happiness that I can have. I have all the comforts, all the pleasures of life, and it is an illusion in the eyes of the Lord. What they think, they feel that I am very healthy. Nobody is like me. I am doing many yagnas, donation. I shall attain a lot of happiness by sense pleasures. And this is the ignorance in which they keep living their life, and they keep till the end of their life they are deluded. And with so many obsessions, the mind is always clouded. They are engrossed in the web of attachments, indulging in sense pleasures. And all these impure people, Bhagavan says, Patanti narake ashucha, I devote them to hell. And these are the people who are obsessed with the self-pride, the self-praise. They always are stabda, means they are not humble. They are always indulging in wealth, respect and pride. And they do yagna or something for others only for the namesake, without any methods described or rituals described in the scriptures. They, for their own pride, with their own lust and attachments, with extremes of emotions, filled with many desires and filled with anger, they see vices in the virtues of other good people. And this, Bhagavan says, anguishes me, who is sitting inside all the people. Mam pratyushanta atmat paradeheshu. This where I am sitting inside, I get really upset. And those who disrespect me are harsh, violent to others, so have become naradhamaha. They are become inhuman. They are involved in very unpious activities like violence, rapes and other things. Bhagavan says, I throw them repeatedly to this asuri yoni, shipami, asuri shiva, yonishu, ajastram. Repeatedly they go to the asuri yoni. And those who are demoted to these lower species, asuri yoni, they are all mudha. They are all demoted, and every birth upon birth, they lose this main chance of human life, which was their chance to attain the divinity, but instead they were just interested in these sense pleasures, and they cannot achieve me, and they miss this chance and they don't attain me. And Bhagavan is now saying that these are the three doors to hell. Idam narakasyam trividham dwaram. Bhagavan says these are the three doors to hell. They destroy the purpose of life. They don't allow us to attain the divinity, which are this kama, krodha and lobha. Kama is desires, krodha is angers, and lobha. Kama, krodha, tatha, lobha, tasmat detatrayam tyajet. Bhagavan says that's why you leave all these three. They're not good for you. They are asuri sampatti. We must leave all these endless desires, anger and greed. And those people who only have devoid of all these three vices, these three doors of attainment, are eligible to attain the Atma Jnana. They can achieve their, they can imbibe more of virtues, Devi Sampatti, and then finally they can attain the Atma Jnana. So spiritual journey, Adhyata Sadhana, the first step is to let go of all these Asuri Sampatti, without which we cannot acquire or imbibe the Devi Sampatti. So these are the first two steps, and that is what Bhagavan is describing here. And that leads to purity of Antakarana, mind, Shanti, quiet, still mind, pure Antakarana, which can understand the Atma Jnana. And then we have to assimilate this knowledge in our life to get moksha, to become one with the divine. And then finally, Bhagavan describes to Arjuna that one who acts against the rituals shown by the scriptures, behaves in their own way, with their own raga, dvesha, likes and dislikes, does not attain any accomplishment. Most of the people feel that I have a lot of freedom, I can do whatever I like. But these people are not internally happy. They don't attain the highest goal of the human mankind. And that's why tasmat shastram pramanam te. Bhagavan says that's why the scriptures are the only evidence for what we should do, what we should not do. And only by knowing what has been said in the scriptures, do all your actions accordingly as your duty. Bhagavan tells Arjuna that human life is the given choice, and to make our future, at the moment, Arjuna, you have to fight this war. Understand that this is your duty, this is your best duty, and that's why you do it accordingly. So scriptures are like traffic signals for our life. When there is red light, we have to see. This is Asuri Sampati, we have to stop. And then there is a green light, it's a Devi Sampati, we can go. Just like maintaining traffic rules are important for safety on the road, similarly maintaining rules for our life are also important. And this is possible only we have a lot of self-awareness, understanding, introspection, whether whatever power arises in our mind, is it Asuri Sampati or a Devi Sampati. To summarize 16th Adhyaya, Daivi Asuri Sampati, Bhagavan shows us that we have to leave the Asuri Sampati and invite the Devi Sampati to go towards Tatva. It is a very easy Adhyaya to understand because a lot of these we already experience day in and out, but it's very difficult to practice in life because of our past impressions, our purva sanskaras, our habits are so strongly rooted in our behavior that it needs a lot of constant awareness, change, self-observation, introspection on a daily basis. And this Bhagavan is describing is for us to look into our own self like a mirror. It is not meant to change others and hey, why are you having this? This is your Asuri Sampati, you must have a Devi Sampati. It is not meant to change others. Guruji tells us that this is for changing our own self, and that is what we need to understand. With this, we come to the end of the 16th Adhyaya. Om Tat Sata iti Shrimad Bhagavad Geetasu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shree Krishna Arjuna Samvade Daivya Suri Sampatti Vibhaga Yogo Nama Shodashodhyaya. So now let's look at the 17th Adhyaya of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This Adhyaya is called the Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. It talks about the three types of Shraddha. Bhagavan says how we can, through Shraddha, how we can unite with the divinity and what is the role of faith in our life. Because faith is one that leads to all our belief systems, our thoughts, our mind, our desires, our interests, our initiatives, our actions. It all stems from the faith. It all determines our life, all our actions. And that's why Bhagavan talks about a lot of different aspects of faith in our ahara, our food, sacrifice, our yagnas, tapa, our penance, charity. And he shows the three types of faith in each of these three. And then finally describes what are the three names of the divinity, Sat, Om, Tat and Sat. He says, so Shraddha is a very important path because what we are charting, the spiritual path, is something which is unknown for us. The spirituality talks about Atma, Paramatma, Brahma, divinity, which we have never seen, we don't understand. And that's why it is something which is very difficult. But the basic premise that this beautiful and this intelligent creation must have a creator makes us to understand that there is some faith we get in this with this belief. And what we see is definitely not the reality. There are lots of illusion that we see daily. We see that the sun rises and the sun sets, but that is not the reality. It is the world or the earth that moves around the sun. That is the reality. We see that the earth merges and there is a horizon, but generally there is also not a reality. There is no horizon. The earth is round in shape. It is not flat. So all these regular things that we see is not the reality. Reality is something different. And that's why we need to understand the Sukshma Jagata beyond the seen world. And on this path, we have to give more and more rather than achieve more and more. With an open mind, we have to look for search for the truth. And that's why on this path, we need faith. Faith is important in the Guru. Faith is important in the scriptures. And faith is important in the Lord, in Bhagwan. So all these three types of faith are very, very important. And with this, we can try and understand the divinity. So let's start the first shloka. Arjuna Uvacha Ye Shastra Vidimutsrujya Yajante Shraddhayanvitaha Tesham Nishtha Krishna Sattva Maho Rajastamaha. So it starts with Arjuna's question. Arjuna has listened to Bhagavan in the 16th Adhyaya, where he listened about all the Daivi Asuri Sampatti, and finally, in the last shloka, Bhagavan says, Tasmat Shastram Pramanamte. You do according to what is given in Shastra. You do your actions according to Shastra. So Arjuna asks a very intelligent question. He says, one who works with a lot of faith, who doesn't know the Shastra, he has not read the Shastras, he is devoid of the rituals, he has not read the scriptures, he doesn't know what is given in the scriptures. Most of us are ignorant about the scriptures, but we have a lot of faith in what we do. He asks Bhagavan, is this faith, is this sattva, rajas or tamas? Please tell me, what is my dedication? Is it sattva, rajas or tamas? To what Bhagavan answers, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sasvabhavaja Sātviki Rājasi Chaiva Tāmsi Cheti Tam Shrunu. Bhagavan shows him three types of faith. He says there are three types of faith in human beings because of our own innate nature, and these three faiths are Sātvik, Rājsik and Tāmsik. And Bhagavan says, now I'm going to tell you, listen accordingly. So Bhagavan is saying, as is our faith, as is our commitment. And that's why when Arjuna asks, what is my commitment? He says there are three types of faith. First you try to understand that faith, and then you'll understand what is that nishtha, what is that commitment. Bhagavan says faith is very, very important in human life, and faith of the people is synonymous to their state of mind, because it is according to our antakarana, which develops from the sattva guna of the Panch Mahabhuta, that our shraddha becomes sattvika. It is all because of our emotions, our that determines our faith. We are all filled with emotions, and whatever is our faith becomes our personality. That is how we behave, that is how we act. So our faith determines what a kind of person that we are, and that's why it is very important to understand. So Bhagavan tells Arjuna there are three types of faith. The Sātvik people devote to the devas. The Rājsik people devote to the yakshas, who are the treasurer. They devote to the wealth and to the demons. Whereas the Tāmsik, they devote to the evil spirits or the ghosts, because that is that kind of disposition. And then Bhagavan tells about the ghor tapa, how these harsh austerities, even those which are done with the Sātvik tendency, but they are actually not Sātvik. He says those who are involved in harsh austerities which are against ashastra vihitam, which is against the scriptures, which is done just for hypocrisy, to show that I have done so much with the pride, inspired by attachments or desires. There is also, Bhagavan says, this kind of Sātvik actions, even are done improperly, can be Tāmsik. He said that emaciates the body, and that gives me a lot of pain. I am the one who's sitting inside, Mam eva antah sharirastam. I'm sitting inside that body, and it gives me a lot of pain. And that's why there is definitely Asuri Sampatti. It is not a Sātvik tendency. This kind of harsh austerities or harsh tapa should be avoided. Bhagavan always likes the middle path. He does not like the extreme path, but he is the Madhyam Margi. And then he shows the three types of food, the faith in the food, three types of ahara, yagna, tapa and dana. These are all the char prakar ke food, yagnas, austerities and charity shows. He says, listen from me. He starts with showing the Sātvik ahara. What is the Sātvik of such food? He says is very dear to Sātvik people. What is that kind of food? He shows which increases the lifespan, which is nutritious food, which nurtures the intellect, nourishes the body and keeps it healthy. It increases the peace of mind and happiness, and which is tasty, non-sticky, lubricated well, and which gives a satiety, which gives an inner joy. And this kind of Sātvik ahara is what the fruits, the vegetables, and something that is, cooked properly, which is tasty, not very salty, spicy, not very oily. This is the kind of the food that is a Sātvik ahara. Then Bhagavan shows the Rājsik ahara. So Rājsik people like this kind of food, he says, which is very bitter, very sour, very salty, very hot, very spicy, which burns the stomach, which is very dry, and which produces a lot of pain, sorrow, and sometimes diseases like blood pressure, diabetes, acidity, gas, constipation, all this. So these are all the Rājsik ahara. And then Bhagavan shows the Tāmsik ahara, which is such food, he says, is dear to Tāmsik people, which is improperly cooked, which is tasteless, which smells awful, which is stale, which is impure, tasted by others, and which cannot be offered to the Lord. So Rājsik and Tāmsik food definitely affects the body and the mind. And Bhagavan is trying to tell us to go from Rājsik or Tāmsik ahar towards more Sātvik ahara. Next, Bhagavan talks about Yagna. Now, in the Vedic times, this Yagna karma was a very important part. But today we can say that whatever Yagna we do for the benefit of others, for the happiness of all, can be considered as a Yagna. And it is a Sātvik karma done selflessly, without desire for the results. It is done out of my duty. And if it is done carelessly, it becomes a Rājsik or a Tāmsik karma. So Bhagavan first describes what is a Sātvik karma. One who performs a Yagna without any desire for the results of action. It is just to please the Lord, Ishvara Prasannata, and it is performed with the rituals as is described in the scriptures, and Yashtavyam eva eti. It is as if it is my duty to do this. I'm not doing any any great thing by doing this Yagna, is what firmly decided in the mind of the person who does the Yagna. The Rājsik Yagna is the one which is done by keeping always the fruits in mind. If I do this, I'll get this. If I do this, I'll get this. And which is done for showmanship, for getting some praise or getting some benefits or results out of this. Those are called Rājsik Yagna. And the Tāmsik Yagnas are the one which is done without the rituals shown in the scriptures, done without offering the food to Brahmins, without offering chanting of the mantras, without giving dakshina to Brahmins, and without faith in the scriptures, Guru and the Lord. And then Bhagavan describes the three types of austerities, the tap, one which are done by the body, the speech and the mind. He says, so worshipping the gods, Brahmin, the teacher and the wise is also kind of a austerity by the body, by the sharirik tapa, adherence to purity, cleanliness, taking regular showers, taking bath and having clean clothes wearing. It's also a kind of a sharirik tapa. Simplicity in our actions, gentleness, control over our sensual pleasures, and practicing non-violence, ahimsa, is a sharirik tapa. Then Bhagavan talks about the vachik tapa. What is that? Control over our verbal austerities, our speech. He says our speech should be such that it does not hurt others. Anudvega karam vakyam. We should speak something that does not cause pain to others. Satyam priyam cha hitam cha. He says it should be truth, it should be pleasant, and it should be beneficial. All the three are important, and the regular study of the scriptures, chanting of our shlokas, mantras is also kind of a vachik tapa. So words are like arrows, and that's why Bhagavan says anudvega karam. We should speak soothing words. Satya, we should speak the truth. We should not twist it to make others happy. It should be pleasant. Truth is generally not always present, but we should speak something that is pleasant, and hitakari, which is beneficial to others and to me. And if all these four are present, it is called a vangmaya tapa. And finally, Bhagavan shows what is the mansik tapa, what is the restraint of our mind, that austerity of our mind, manah prasada saumyatvam, that peace of mind, that cheerful personality is the one that I must try to develop. And mauna, silence, speaking less, and being aware about our thoughts, self-control, and having purity of our emotions, feelings. All this is a manasik tapa, the restraint of our mind. And then mana prasada, which is very important because it is only with our mind we can do this adhyatma pragati, and mind is a wonderment. It is very unpredictable. Everybody wants peace of mind, but it eludes everyone. That's why this control or balance of our mind is the one that is what is the purpose of Gita Ji and our scriptures. It requires a lot of understanding, vichara, and self-observation. A lot of sukshma vichara is needed. And what are the attitudes to have this peace of mind? Attitude to change my own self, not others. Attitude of having gratitude for having got so much, avoid complaining. Positive and creative attitude to bring out the best in ourselves. And surrendering to the immense natural superpower, accepting what is after doing best what we can do, and then just being a witness to this grand drama, living in the present moment rather than thinking or worrying about the past or the future are some of the attitudes to have peace of mind. And then Bhagavan describes the Sātvik tapa. What is that Sātvik penance? Which is done with utmost faith, without the desire for results. And then Rājsik tapa. The Rājsik tapa is the one which is done with the expectation of a lot of praise, respect, reverence, and which is done with hypocrisy to show what we don't have, the results of which are unsteady, temporary, they are not long lasting. Tāmsik tapa is the one which is done with delusion, unawareness, which causes pain to the body and gives pain to others also. Then Bhagavan describes in the 3 shlokas the dana, 3 types of dana, the Sātvik dana, the Rājsik and the Tāmsik. First he shows what is the Sātvik dana, which is done Tatvavyamiti yad danam, as my duty, that I have achieved so much, I have received so much, it's my duty to give back to the society without any expectation of return in the future, that my name or my praise or my some will be there. It is done with an appropriate place, appropriate time, appropriate deserving or needy person. That is what is the Sātvik dana. Rājsik dana is done with an expectation of return, some kind of a return, keeping in mind the results again and again, which is given with some hesitation and with some agitation, which is not done with a completely pleased mind. And at least Guruji tells us that we should start from Rājsik donation and gradually then we can reach towards Sātvik dana. Tāmasa dana is done to an inappropriate person, to the undeserving person, without respect to elder saints or to the person to whom the donation is being done. In the next 3 shlokas, Bhagavan describes the 3 names of the Lord, of Bhagavan, of the divinity, Om, Tat and Sat. He says these are the 3 names of the eternal Brahma, and from this Brahman, everything, the entire universe has been created. The Brahmins, the Vedas, Yagnas, all were created from these Yagnas. And when Omkara is used by most of the wise people, the saints, they use Omkara while they do all their Yagna karma, charity, penance, tapa karma, dana karma. Then they always, those who are committed to Brahma, Brahmavadinam, those people always chant Omkara while doing all the actions. Omkara is the one Ekakshari Nama of the Lord. It denotes both the Saguna and the Nirguna Svarupa of the Lord. And the 3 letters A, U and Ma indicates the 3 states of our daily awareness, the Jagrat, Swapna and the Sushupti. The 3 bodies that we are made up of, the Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira and the Karana Sharira, and the 3 types of universe also. And the silence after the Om indicates a formless Amatra, that is a Nirgun Swarupa of the Lord. And the saints and the wise people, they extensively use Omkara as an acceptance for whatever karma they are doing. Even if you give something to them, they will accept it with Om. That is how they will accept it. When the Tat is used, Tat is also the name of Paramatma, and Tat is used while we connect to the Lord without any expectation of the result, while we do all other actions and for our self-liberation, for moksha. And Tat is one of the words denoting Paramatma in the Mahavakyas of the Upanishad, Tat Tvam Asi. So Tat means Paramatma Tattva, and with this is done, this understanding is done for our moksha, for our self-limitation by understanding this knowledge. And then when is a Sat is used? So Sat is used whenever we want. Sat is a Satta, the existence. Any Sat Karma, Sadhu Bhava, any Sat Achara, Sat Sangha. So we use Sat Shabda whenever we want to help others, inspire others, or when we want to be one with the divine. And then finally in the last 2 shlokas, Bhagavan describes that these Yagna, Tapa and donations, when are they called Sat? And here the word meaning of Sat is Satya. When are they really honest? They are the Satta, Sat, when they are Tat Arthyam. Tat Arthyam means when they are performed for the Almighty, for Ishvara Prasannata. When we do any of these actions, then they are called Sat actions. They are the real good actions. And Sat and Tat, they are both connected. When we do Sat, we attain the Tat. And when all these 3 actions are asat, when they are done without ashraddhaya, when we are done without faith, then we don't get any fruits of these actions when they are done without faith. So this Adhyaya started with the faith and it ends with the faith. And that's why the Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga is very important to understand. Summarizing, Bhagavan Arjuna starts his Adhyaya asking for, if I don't know the scriptures, but if I have faith, what is my commitment? He says, Bhagavan shows him 3 types of faith, the Sātvik, Rājsik, Tāmsik, and shows the importance of faith in our life. And then he says that one should avoid Ghor Tapa, choose the middle path. And then Bhagavan describes all the 3 types of Ahara, food, Yagna, Karma, all the 3 types of Tapa. And then describes the 3 types of Dana. And finally describes the three names of Bhagavan, Om, Tat and Sat, when it is used and when it is Sat and when it is Asat. So faith is very important in our life. Sorry. It is said that faith moves mountains. It is a foundation of our Vedic life. Whatever we do, whatever actions, Yagna, Tapa, Karma, Dana, faith is very important. If we do it without faith, then we don't get the desired results. Lack of faith is definitely an obstacle in the spiritual path. It is also dosha. And the Vedas are the pramana. We must have faith in the Vedas. We must have faith in our scriptures. We must have faith in our Guru. We must have faith in this divinity. And with this, if we understand, then definitely we can achieve. And what kind of faith we need? That the system created by the divinity is a very fair system. Whatever I do, I'll get the appropriate results. If there is one door which closes, then definitely some other choice will open. And whatever happens to me is for my own good. I'm not able to see it today, but definitely in the future, I will realize that it is happening for my own good. I do not have control over all the actions or the results of the actions. I have control over only my actions, and that's why I should focus on my actions. And finally, for the results, I should surrender to the Almighty, accepting everything that comes to me as a prasada from the Lord. So with this, come to the end of the 17th Adhyaya. Om Tat Sata Iti Shrimad Bhagavad Geeta Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shree Krishna Arjuna Samvade Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yogo Nama Saptadashodhyaya. We come to the end of this session. I pay my respects and gratitude towards the Lord, with whose grace everything is possible. Pay my respects to the Guru Parampara, through which this knowledge is preserved and transmitted. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Pujya Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn these scriptures and share this understanding with you. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.